Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing about Brand Concepts Limited. We are going to be analyzing the Q1FY24 results and just see how the company has performed, and of course what does the future guidance look like. We will see the outlook, right? So first let us understand what Brand Concept does, right? Brand Concepts manufactures and sells bags. Now when I talk about bags, they don't just manufacture and sell any bags, okay? So what they do is they acquire the license for certain brands. Like for them, right now, they have license to sell Tommy Hilfiger, Aeropostale, and United Colors of Benetton. These are the brands. So think about this. These brands, they have they have a great presence, brand value here, right? But they're international brands, and what happens is it becomes very difficult for these brands to penetrate into Indian geographies and Indian customers. So what Brand Concept does is they take the license to manufacture, design, and sell all of the three things, for these brands in India, and they are the exclusive. How do I tell you? They have the exclusive license to sell and to take care of the operations of these three brands in India, right? So that is more or less that the what Brand Concept does. Now when you talk about bags also, like you understood first that they're doing it for how do I tell you, they acquire license for these brands and they do it. Other than that, also when you talk about bags, there are different categories also. One is your luggage bag or your travel bags as you call, and the other one is your small leather goods. Small leather goods are like the guy's ka wallet or the sling bags that women wear, or the duffel bag, or all these will be considered as small goods. And the other one is your the luggage or your travel bag. So if you see the revenue breakup as of Q1 FY24, the luggage segment that is there, or the travel segment that is there, that contributes around 60%, and the rest 30%, 35 to 40% is coming from your small leather goods wala bag. That's that. Now, so when you talk about them also, they have exclusive license for three brands. One is Tommy Hilfiger, Aeropostale, and United Colors of Benetton, right? Other than that, they have their own in-house brand called Sugar Rush and Vertical, right? So what is the difference between the having your own in-house brand and having the license? When of course when you get a license to design a design, like license of that brand to design, manufacture, and sell, every time you do a sale, you'll have to give a certain portion of your sale, like a royalty as you call it, right? Of that kind to the brand. Whereas when you do your own brand, what happens is you don't have to give that royalty, and hence your margin also stays higher, right? So this is the entire business model. This is what Brand Concepts does. Very simple, very easy, right? So let's just go look at the result. If you see the result has been out of the park. One of the reason is, see, like the management has far exceeded the expectations. Like it's like, how do I tell you, under promise and over deliver kind of situation, right? So if you see, the revenue has gone up by 83% on a year on year basis. On a quarter on quarter basis also, it has gone up by 40%. If you see the PAT, even the PAT has grown by 51%, both on a year on year as well as QOQ basis, right? PAT margin has remained around 6%. Now it is of course, right, 6%, because like I told you, they have to give royalty and everything. So the margins here is not not that lucrative also. So having said that, this is what the result has been great, as you can see, right? Because when someone is telling 30-35% ka growth karenge, and the management goes ahead and does 83%, literally more than twice of what the management has guided for, you can see it is an excellent set of numbers. So the first question that should come into your head is like, are these numbers sustainable? Because jo hua it is previous quarter ka aap dekh rahe ho, Q1, right? Market to aage dekhta hai, right? We always tell that market is a forward looking engine, right? So this is what is there. So if you look at their guidance that they've given, they always keep telling, this is what we can do. We can do 30 to 35%. That is what we target. And of course, they're the kind of company, like I told you, over deliver, under promise and over deliver kind of situation. So the management has, they have been telling, for the last 3 quarters, that they will be doing 30 to 35% of kind of growth. And it is, well beyond the means also. Not sorry, well within the means. And if you see also, they're well within the plan. They wanted to achieve in the next 3 to 4 years 500 crore ka top line. And as of March FY23, their top line is 163 crores. It is also quite doable because the base is very small, and 35% growth in 500 crores, absolutely doable. Now, the first thing you have to see is how will this, this 35% growth will be achievable, right? One is, like I told you, they want to be like a house of brands, right? The house of brands, matlab, they want to acquire many more brands, many more international brands. And, so basically, if you go to like a store, their store, you want to find, like, or their website also for that matter, you should be able to find all these bags. So that is one, right? So if you see, That's what they're doing this. And a testimony of that is the fact that, last quarter or the quarter before that, they had acquired United Colors of Benetton and Aeropostal. So the number of brands in their portfolio are also increasing. That is number one. The second thing is in terms of store expansion, right? If you see, the store expansion also has been great. They target to open 15 to 18 stores, 15 to 18 stores a year. And of course, this is also not a problem. The other thing I would like to highlight here is when you talk about store expansion, the only problem that they face in store expansion is because these are kind of a premium brands, like a semi-premium, semi-luxury premium brands. These always has to be in like a malls or a premium location. Malls में क्या problem होता है? Because anytime when a mall is giving you a space, they're not giving you a space for permanent, right? Like you have to, if you want to open a shop in a mall, you have to pay rent. Nobody's giving you like a permanent, like it's not like buying your own house, right? So what happens here sometimes, let's say if the mall can come, you have usually a lease agreement or rent agreement for a year. What happens is here is, the mall has a right to be like, okay, I don't want to renew your contract. I don't want to renew your contract, and they can chase him out of the mall basically, right? And that's one thing. So because of that, they face a little bit of problems in terms of store expansion. One is because of course they have to open in malls, and second, the fact that malls maybe, like the space is not guaranteed, right? Because if you don't perform well, if your store doesn't perform well, malls will find another branch to replace you. And also, like if they find a better opportunity than you also, and they can replace you, as well as, it depends on all the rental agreement. So that is one of the problems that they're facing. That is why you will see the store addition has not been that great this quarter. Having said that, right, the other thing is also is your organic and inorganic acquisition. Like I told you, like inorganic acquisition kya hota hai, that you go out and acquire, some company and, do that. So here also what they're doing, they have a company called IFS where they want to take complete control over, buy that company out. Now IFS jo hai, it is also a company that manufactures bag. Now unlike brand concepts, the difference is here they're contract manufacturing company. Contract manufacturing company ka kya matlab hai? Let's say I have a company, right? I have a company called, let's say, PNA company, and I don't want to do my manufacturing, right? I want to outsource it to somebody else. So I outsource it to somebody, right? That is called as, so that person who is doing my manufacturing ka job, my bags ka manufacturing, this is called as contract manufacturing. Now, of course, since you're doing contract manufacturing, you're a B2B business model. You don't have, you don't have bargaining power, right? So, and because of that, your margins are also lower. Because why you don't have bargaining power? First of all, raw materials के लिए आपको पैसा upfront देना पड़ता है, और आपका जो माल है, you have to sell that माल first to whoever has given you the contract, and then you get the money back. So you always see, right, there's this cash crunch. And of course, when you don't have your own product and you're working for somebody else, the margins are always lesser, and it's a B2B models also. So this is the problem with IFS, right? One is their margins are low, and like I told you, this is what IFS does, and this is the difference between brand concept and IFS. Brand concepts has, they manufacture, design, everything. All they have to do is just for using the brand ka name and everything, they have to give the royalty. Whereas here, they're just a third party people to, help other companies' operation. That is what IFS does. Now, IFS, if you see, this acquisition has been going on for a very long time. Even now, brand concept has told, the acquisition, completely, it will be completed. It is still in NCLT and everything. It will be fully completed by, probably Q1 or FY24. Next year, it will be completed. Now the reason is because, again, like before brand concepts wants to acquire IFS, right, they want to make sure, all of the operations of IFS are clean, the balance sheet is clean, there is no, nothing wrong with that. And of course, if you see, earlier IFS was a bit of loss making company, but now they're improving, the margins are improving and everything. So they want to make sure that, the entire system and process is set in place for IFS before they can acquire it. That is number one thing. Now you can ask me, like, Preda, if that's the case, if IFS is a contract manufacturing, if these people are acquiring, if brand concept is acquiring IFS, then will brand concepts also end up doing IFS ka, IFS ka work? So here's the thing, brand concept is not completely closed on the idea as to, like, contract manufacturing hum nahi karenge. That is not the case. There are certain clients of IFS for whom brand concept will do the contract manufacturing after the acquisition is done. Having said that, jo acquisition mein, they get all their plant, property, equipment, they want to use more and most of it apna khud ka, brand का manufacturing करने के लिए. But having said that, in future, if let's say वो जगह lucrative हो जाता है, then of course they're not completely close to the idea also. So that is that on the the store expansion and the like I told you, the IFS ka contract manufacturing and everything. What is going on with the acquisition and the detail, right? So other than that, if you see, all in all, great set of results. There's nothing a lot to talk about it. The only thing I would like to talk is jo unka apne brand, I think in the last year, that is in FY23, financial year FY23, they had added 2 more brands into their portfolio. So earlier it used to be Tommy Hilfiger and their own brands like Sugar Rush and Vertical. So they added this brand called United Colors of Benetton and Aeropostale. So here is the thing. So once you acquire a brand, once you get the license to design and manufacture and sell these brands, it takes 8 to 9 months for these brands to go into shelf, right? Like let's say you acquire a brand, it's not like day one only, next day, you put these luggage and everything on your in your showroom. That doesn't happen that way. It takes 8 to 9 months. So because of that, there has been a bit of delay because recently they acquired it. It has been a bit of delay. Having said that, in spite of that, also the full product line jo hai UCB or Aeropostale ka, by Q2 or Q3 you will see that in all the brand concept ka stores and bagline stores, and of course the individual stores of UCB and Aeropostale. Other than that, what is there? One fantastic thing that has happened was Aeropostale ka jo bags hai, there are backpacks, right? So 68,000 units, that is 68,000 units of backpacks they've sold. So really commendable they have done, although it takes 8 to 9 months to have this kind of progress in hardly less than 2 quarters. It's quite great, right? The other thing is, one of the things I would like to highlight here is, see, since these people are doing bags, right, at the end of the day, and most of the times if you see, their bags are more into adults only, like only adults are using it. So they were, an analyst had asked them, like, why can't we introduce a kids range also, right? Because anyways, let's say if a mom or dad is going for shopping and if a kid is tagging along them, and if they can find like a one-stop shop for even the kid, it would be great. And usually you see, right, and a lucrative way to make it lucrative for kids is what, you put their favorite cartoon characters on the bags, right? Like, let's say if a kid sees a normal black and white bag versus let's say a kid sees a picture of Barbie or Chota Beam, what would they prefer? They would obviously prefer that because that's where they're inclined to. So brand concept was like, see, we would love that, but the fact is, this business, the line of business where you take the kids ka jo aap karte ho, not just kids, but how do I tell you, this character, where you have to how do I tell you, character bags jo hota hai, ya character products. Basically, you take these animated characters that are there or the cartoon characters that are there and you print it on the bag or whatever products that are there. You have to take license, right? Like for example, Chota Bim ka license, I don't know, but let's say Barbie, you have to take it from the Barbie ka, whoever the, how to tell, let's say Disney, for example, you have to take from Disney the rights to put Barbie ka photo on that bag. So what happens is, because of this, the entire licensing work for this is too not just hectic, but it is not margin accretive, and it leaves very razor thin margins, and it will not even help them in growing or adding more in the bottom line also. So that is the reason the brand concept doesn't want to do that. It is not going to be profitable for them. Of course, if you see, it will add an additional line into the business, but having said that, it will not contribute in a huge way. That usually I keep telling you, jab product mix change hota hai, things get better, but this is a place where yahan pe this product getting this product mix will not be will not benefit the brand in any way, right? In fact, it could drag them down also. So that is one thing. That's it about the kids bag, right? So the only thing, if you see, the only complaint, if you see, with this result has been the operating leverage has not been there, because you saw that the revenue has grown by 81%, whereas the PAT has been growing by 51%, right? And so that the bottom line has grown on a percentage wise, on a comparatively on a lesser, the growth rate of bottom line has been less than the top line, right? So that is why the operating leverage is missing. But having said that, it is okay, because ye brand concept jo hai, it is a very small company at the end of the day, right? So if you're a small company, the first thing, right, instead of keeping the cash, cash in your balance sheet, or instead of keeping cash in FD or whatever, if I were a small company, or if am an investor in a small company, what I would want is my company keeps investing whatever the money that is there in marketing campaigns, in putting up a new store. So you put on more and more growth avenues. So because of that is why you're seeing the operating leverage is missing. The operating leverage is missing, like I told you, because they're a very small company. They have to invest right now, in putting up stores, in getting up the inventory in the marketing campaigns and everything. That is why the operating leverage is missing. I personally would any day choose a company like this, a small company, a growing company that is, taking their money out and putting into further into operations and expanding their line, versus let's say a company whose operating leverage exists because of, let's say, fall in raw material price, because at the end of the day, that fall in raw material prices has to go off one day, right? So this, I would rather any day prefer these kind of, like a company that is reinvesting in its growth than the other side, right? So that is that. All in all, like I told you, great set of results. I also highlighted, why the operating leverage is missing. The another thing I would like to point out is, I forgot to I forgot to mention this point. Like I was talking about this 80% ka growth, right? The first thing you have to ask is, like I told you, this is it sustainable, right? The company has always been telling 30 to 35% growth. I think that is what they can do. Anything above and over that is, basically over delivering. Even this time also, if you see the 80% growth that was there, one of the reasons for that 80% growth and the usual 30 to 35% was, if you had to compare Q1 FY24 to Q1 FY23. In Q1 FY23 also, they had a lot of issues, going through supply chains and everything. That is why the base was small, and they didn't perform well. So this time, everything, it's been a year, the supply chain issues has, resolved, and because of that, and of course, again, adding to the small base, that is why the change is also so much, 80%, right? That is why that 80% change had been. And the other fact is also because Q1 is usually the strongest quarter, right? If you see, Q1 is the strongest quarter. One of the reasons is, अगर आप देखते हो Q1 का पहले जो months होता है before the result, June में result आते हैं, so the months before the June, that are, the most travel season, like I call, because April and May, right, summer season होता है, people tend to travel, vacations होते हैं बच्चों का, so families tend to go out and travel, and that time what they do, of course, you have to purchase bags. So that is the reason you see that Q1 में इतना jump हुआ है. Even from Q4 to Q1, you would have seen that on a quarter-on-quarter basis also, that the top line has grown by 40%, right? One of the reason is, of course, seasonality, and the other reason was, अगर आप Q1 का FY23 का base देखते हो, it was small because Q1 FY23 में उनका supply chain का problem हो रहा था. So that is that overall about the result. Like, company is excellent, great, no problem. Even if you see the founder and the CEO of the company, the managing director and the CEO of the company, Abhinav Kumar, extremely passionate. It's like that person is living, breathing, and eating bats. So that's the thing. Nothing to complain about. The only thing I will highlight is the risk. One risk is, of course, like I told you, right? They have licensing to for all these bags to manufacture, sell, and design. Tommy Hilfiger ka, Aeropostale ka, and UCB ka. So Tommy Hilfiger ka jo license hai, it expires I think the contract expires in December 2023, right? So of course, if they don't renew the contract, now they've been telling, the management has been telling, yes, the contract will get renewed also, no problem with that. But having said that, it is not in paper. It is just, मुंह में बोला है. It is not in paper. There hasn't been an official declaration or as such. So what happens is, अभी अगर आप देखते हो तो 80 to 85% का sales जो है, entire brand concepts का 80 to 85% of sales comes from Tommy Hilfiger, right? So of course, if Tommy Hilfiger का if the contract is not renewed, it can pose a serious problem, because like I told you, UCB and Aeropostale also is a recently new started brand for them. It hasn't really caught up. It will take time. Q3 and Q4 maybe we'll see the full effect of the brand. So this remains the contract. It is very important the contract gets renewed, the Tommy Hilfiger contract being renewed for this brand. That is one thing. The other risk remains, of course, this is for any company. Right now we are seeing a really good pace of growth, right? We are seeing that the speed, or 30 to 35% growth, it is growing really fast. Anytime if this pace of growth में कोई भी आंच आता है, right, that is when even the stock also will react the same way. Just the pace of growth घटना नहीं चाहिए. That is very, very important, right? Let's say tomorrow it is doing 30 to 35% growth, and the management comes and tells like, oh, we can't do any longer 30 to 35% growth, we will do like 20 to 25. That is where the problem also arises. Two reasons. One is, of course, the Tommy Hilfiger, which is fundamentally a business problem, and the other one is, of course, right now if you see, there is an agility with the management. There is a hunger in the management to grow and expand their business. So hopefully this also remains throughout the course also. So yeah, that's it about brand concepts. I've covered everything, and yeah, if you have any doubts, feel free to ask me either in my DMs or in the comment section. So until then, take care. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.